Well, welcome back to the plot after we've been away for a little bit on holiday and doing various other activities. I put a little video up here of some of the stuff that we've been harvesting, some of the peppers and tomatoes and everything else. And along with holiday, we've been doing some zip lining. So we went up here and we did a zip line on the world's fastest zip line over an old slate quarry in Wales, which is all great fun. And we've had a marvellous time over the summer. And the rain's finally arrived. So in today's video, we'll be talking about how the plot coped, where the watering systems worked, and what the steps are now for autumn, and also a bit of a cautionary tale about courgettes, which we'll have later on. So in terms of the actual plot, the watering systems all worked fine, no problems whatsoever. All the tomatoes in the greenhouse and the small polytunnel worked great. The rest of the plot, we give it good water. It was all looking a bit dry when we got back, but we've watered that since. And this week we've had loads and loads of rain, enough to fill up refill two of the 200 litre tanks off the water capture off the polytunnel. So let's have a quick look around and see what the jobs are for the next few weeks and how we're going to get on with those. Now here in the polytunnel, it's quite warm in here today because we've had the end vent closed because it's been quite windy. But as you see over here, we have plenty of, we harvested a load of peppers and we've got plenty more peppers to harvest. It's been a really good year for the peppers, and we've got a load of hot chili peppers down here. These are all the sweet peppers up on the top shelf. But these are all ready to go. These are still a little bit of ripening. These are all nice and red. So beautiful job there. Down in the rest of the polytunnel, it's looking a little bit like a forest. We basically, we still got our little melons. They're not put on much growth since we went away. And we've got a bit of tomato foliage here where it's come off the string. But as you can see, that basically we're getting towards the end of the season now. And in amongst all this is the grapevine growing out, so we need to be careful of that. And we're still getting plenty of tomatoes all in here. We've been harvesting like a tub full of tomatoes literally every few days. We've got more than we possibly need. But one of the things we need to do now is, there's not going to be much time left in the season now, and there's still quite a lot of green tomatoes on here, as well as the ones that are ripening off. So things like this, where we've got a nice shoot coming off, it's got flowers and stuff on it, but we're going to start taking all of these off the plants. We're going to start thinning these plants down. We don't really want it to produce any more fruit. We just want it to concentrate on ripening up the fruit that we've already got. So any new growth, all this stuff at the top here. Now we might sacrifice a few small little green tomatoes, but that's not a problem. We've got more than enough tomatoes, and we don't want it to actually produce any more tomatoes. Now we just want it to ripen off the ones that are left. So we're going to be going through and thinning this all out, making sure that there's very bare shoots going up, taking off most of the leaves and everything else, trying to encourage those ripening up. The other thing that we'll be doing, we'll probably give it a week or two, and at that point what we'll do is we'll start switching off the watering system. By switching off the watering system, it means that the plants won't be as watered as they normally are, which will encourage them to actually ripen up the fruits that are left on there and discourage any new growth coming through. So give it a couple of weeks and we'll be switching the watering systems off. But everything else is looking great in here. I mean, you can see that down here. Let me go around the back. Down in here, we've still got loads of tomatoes here. We've got trusses of tomatoes here. And these are all the ones we want to finish maturing and ripening up. Whereas some of the ones like this and this. So these ones, they've got like little tiny tomatoes. They've got little tiny tomatoes on them, but it's all new growth. They're never going to get to the point where they swell up and become decent sized tomatoes. So we're just going to take off all this extra growth and thin all this out. So that's the job in here. So let's go and have a look at some of the rest of the plot. So here on the flower bed, there's loads and loads of deadheading to be done. These flowers are sort of getting to the end of their life now, so just going to let them die deadhead and start cutting these back. They're still going to flower a little bit. There's still a few buds on there to flower, so there's still a little bee there in amongst there. That's in amongst the wind being blown around. Hang on in there, harvesting. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, at least half a dozen bees in there. So this bed has been a huge success. I'm really proud of how that's done this year. So we will be definitely doing that again. Just need to decide whether we're actually going to bother lifting the dahlia tubers that are in there, or try and mulch them over thickly with a nice thick mulch to protect them from the frost. We've done both ways in the past. If we don't get too harsh a winter, they're fine in the ground if you give them a nice thick mulch, so we might give that a try and see how that does. Our single seed potatoes, we've got a couple of them dying off and the rest of these are sort of dying off, so sometime this week we will get those out, give them a weigh in and see how we've done. But we've got 9 buckets worth there, so it'll be interesting to see how they've done. These are the potatoes that have actually done the best and they've lasted the longest. So the other buckets over there are starting to regrow, so there's a couple going to regrow and we're going to let them grow into the winter and see how they do. And there's about another 10 buckets of potatoes that we need to harvest off. So down in this bed is some old cabbages. You can see that actually with the addition of the wet weather, that the obviously the slugs and everything else are starting to come back in. We've not had a problem with slugs at all this year, so can't really complain. But as you can see, this one here is completely eaten to death, and this one as well. Can actually get this out of the ground now. As you can see, it's just like all eaten to death, but that's all right. They'll all go in the composter. We've had plenty of cabbages off of here. We've still got some at home, and there's all around the plot. There's plenty of weeding to be done. There's all stuff like this growing in amongst the beds. But we want to clear this bed and we want to refresh this bed because we've got some new broccoli and cauliflower that we want to put in. In terms of the actual sprouts down in this bed here, they're looking okay, but they seem to have got quite a lot of sort of a browny type sort of fungus on them. So I don't know whether the sprouts are going to be any good or not. We might have to try and have a look at that and give them a spray or with something or other. Because let me show you one of the leaves. Let me go in there, get one of these leaves out. So there's loads and loads of white fly on it. And you can see there's loads of, I mean, when I look at it actually, this brown stuff, it's actually, I thought it was a fungus on the leaf, but it doesn't seem to be. It just seems to be sort of a mouldy stuff on top of there. So maybe if we give them a good clear out, they might be all right, because this is just sort of, I think this is just whitefly debris on them. So actually when you clean that off, it doesn't look too bad. So hopefully they'll actually be better than I thought they would be. But in amongst all this, there's loads of weeds growing and stuff, and it's all doing well. Over the back there, incidentally, you can see in that bed over there is all our kale, which I really do need to actually harvest and start using rather than just growing it. But that's where we are on this end of the plot. So let's have a quick look down at the other end. So down here is our mint. Now, if you are growing mint, make sure you do it in a container, because it is like a weed. It just spreads completely all over the place. Now I'm gonna start taking some of that. So we have left this on here so that the bees can benefit from the flowers, but it's getting to the point now, it's getting a bit overgrown. Needs a good trimming back, and I don't want to get to the point where it starts setting seed everywhere, because otherwise we'll never get control of it. So I'm just going to be quite harsh with this and just take all the tops off these and just get it down into a controllable manner. As you can see, this in here, it grows everywhere. It's even rooting itself back up through the soil into where we've got this lovely rosemary. So just going to take all this off. As I say, it's a word of warning, just don't plant mint anywhere where you can contain it. In here it's just in these little side boxes. This is the most beautiful job to do though, because it is so fragrant. So I'm just going to finish chopping all this down. And there we go, that's looking a lot better. And get your head in that bucket. Oh, that is gorgeous mint. So that'll go on the composter because it's not quite yet set the seed, so it should be okay in the composter and to rot on down. So we'll get that in the composter. So let's have a word about these courgettes. So here we are on the courgettes, and as you can see, we've had quite a lot of courgettes on here, and these ones are all going a bit soft now. A few different ones on here. We're going to take all these courgette plants out because we don't need any more courgettes. And some of them are grown into complete marrows. Let's look at this one. Look at that baby. No use for anything. So, I said there was a cautionary tale about courgettes, and there is. And somebody on our site, I believe, suffered from this. And there are many reports around the country in the past and this year of people suffering from this. And that is courgettes. We've had really, really dry summer. And if you don't water courgettes sufficiently, they get into a state which they call hydrocide. And basically what that means is when they become water stressed, they produce a toxin inside the courgettes, which make them completely unedible. You can tell that, luckily, you can tell this really easily. The best way to do it is cut your courgette, take a little bit of it, just take a little nibble of the raw courgette and see if it's still tasting nicely like the courgette or it has a bitter taste to it. If it has a bitter taste to it, and the taste apparently is really horrible bitter, it's a real horrible taste. And if it has got, the toxin has built up in the courgette. Now this toxin, I can't remember which one, begins with C, ends in with an E. I'll put the name up somewhere over here. But basically what will happen is that will give you really, really bad stomach problems. It's not normally fatal. There have been cases when I believe where it has been fatal for people. But normally it will just give you really, really bad gastroenteritis type sort of symptoms. So when you're doing your courgettes and any type of squash sort of things, make sure that you just taste a little bit of the courgette before you go ahead and cook it or put it in with something else. Check that it's not bitter. If it is bitter, discard it, wash your mouth out. Because if you eat one of these when it's got that toxin in it, believe me, you will regret it for quite a while. So, word of warning, make sure when it's been really dry like this that you taste your courgettes first to make sure that they're not bitter. And if they are bitter, discard them because you're going to make yourself very, very ill otherwise. As for these ones, they're all gone really seedy. Chop those up and we'll just put those in the composter. And as for the rest of the courgettes, those courgette plants, we'll be clearing those out and freshening this bed up, ready for putting something in the new season. Probably won't use it again, this bed, again this season, because we've got other beds that we can grow some of our lettuce and our winter veg in. But yeah, so let's go and have a look in the little brassica cage and see how we're getting on in there, because I think we've got some onions, our exhibition onions to pull up, and some carrots. So let's come quick skip over to there. So down in the little brassica cage, We've got loads of old brassicas in here which we just need to clear out, and we'll probably end up putting our there's loads of white fly in here. We need to put some more papers up to actually capture them. So we've still got quite a lot of purple cabbage at the back here, which is doing all right. All the other stuff over on this side is all gone and finished with, so we need to clear that out. And we may end up just putting our other new cabbages, some of our cabbages and broccolis in here. But in here, we planted some of these onions. So let's get these out. One. This one looks quite big. Look at that, baby. Whoa. So 2. 3. And so these are all in amongst these carrots, so we'll probably end up harvesting these carrots out as well at the same time. Some of these onions have grown really well, some haven't. So this one, nice big one. This one down here, not so big. And in here amongst here as well, we've got these carrots. We're going to start taking some of these carrots out because we've got carrots elsewhere. That's quite a nice one. These are all quite well closely clustered, so there's a whole bunch of big ones and a load of small ones. But that's not too bad, is it? That one though, completely split down the side, so not particularly good for usage. And let's get these ones out. Look at these. So we are well chuffed with these, so I'm going to harvest a whole bunch of carrots. And what else have we got down in here? That's not a good sign, because I just broke it off. Right, there's some good old long carrots in here. This one, I don't know how, God, it's going down. Right, let's put that down. Let's get these ones outside, these little ones, and see if we can get this one out. And there's another one of the onions, not done so well. So this one, carrot here, let's get this one out, so we can get this out. Come on. You know you want to come out. I think this is anchored into the... Whoa, this is like so deep. I'm going to get this out, it's going to be really disappointing, isn't it? I can tell. Oh man, broke it off. Oh well. Got some other good ones around here though. And we'll just pull that whole lot out together. So we just sort of planted them and all together. Got some little ones and some big ones. Another monster carrot. Now we're never normally very successful carrots at this site, and that's because very often the just trying to find these other onions. Very often the badgers and stuff come along and eat them, but that doesn't seem to be such a problem this year. I've seen quite a few people have actually grown reasonable sized carrots, and I've also heard that quite a few of the people where we all already struggle as well with is sweet corn. Whoa, more carrots. I can see some carrot and coriander soup on the horizon, and more carrots. Right, so I think we'll get those other onions out, and I think we'll leave the rest of those carrots all in place, although we will get this one out. Look at that. Look at that, baby. Right, we're going to get these ones out of the back because they look, I don't want them to get too big because they'll become completely unedible. Whoa, more carrots. Well, I have to say that, well chuffed with all that lot. So, carrot is one of the things, as I say, I've always struggled with here on this site, and I think this is probably the first year when we've actually produced a really decent crop of carrots. So, well chuffed with that. I'll just take these few extra ones out. Just finish off this row. Nice little funny shaped one. I do like a funny shaped carrot. And another one. Split at the bottom there. And no real signs of any carrot root fly on them. They all look pretty good and clean. And there we go, another onion. So we've still got a few carrots left in there, and we've got carrots growing elsewhere as well. Oh, I didn't realise there's onions under here as well. So more onions. As I say, these are the purple cabbage, and then there's this other stuff that's around here, which is like this stuff, which is the cauliflower that's sort of gone over now. So we'll be clearing all that out. So that's a quick roundup of where we are on the plot. There's plenty of weeds and everything else still to sort out. Plenty of stuff that we're harvesting. We've got potatoes to do, empty a couple of those buckets, and then we'll be thinking about what we're going to plant and what we're going to, once we've got everything cleared out, we'll start thinking about what we're going to plant for the winter, to overwinter, and also to have during those sparse winter months. So I'll be covering that in my next video. So until then, have a good week, and I will see you again soon. Cheerio.